As our hospitals figure out how to respond to Ebola, they have a terrible track record, as we were just saying, of dealing with a host of other infections, garden variety infections. According to the CDC, 75,000 people die a year from hospital infections. With us now, Betsy McCaughey, who is the founder of the Committee to Reduce Infection Deaths. She's also a former lieutenant governor of New York. I know you saw the CDC talking this afternoon about safety. What does it tell you that we have such a high rate of death? In fact, people are more likely to die in a hospital of infection than they are to get shot by a gun in this country. It's shocking.
That's right. Hospital infections, Jerry, kill more people than all the cases of breast cancer, all the cases of AIDS, and all the car accidents in our country combined. As you pointed out, 75,000 people a year. So hospitals not only lack the space and the staff and the money to handle Ebola, they lack the culture, the discipline, the rigor, the exacting performance.
But Betsy, let me interrupt you here for a second. We were promised. We were told that Western medicine was going to save us.
Oh, yes.
That we have the best medicine in the world. We can't handle Ebola?
Let me make it clear. From the beginning, July, August, September, the head of the CDC, Thomas Frieden, lied to us. He said any hospital with an ICU that can isolate a patient can handle Ebola. Well, clearly that is not true. We saw in Dallas that that's not true.
Well, let me ask you this. Did he lie to us, or did he not understand how potent Ebola is?
I think it's clear that how potent it is, because 16 of the doctors from Doctors Without Borders have contracted Ebola. They're very skilled, very trained. 9 of them have died. 233 doctors and nurses in all have died treating Ebola in Africa. Some were undertrained or under-equipped, but many were the top epidemiologists in those nations.
Let me get you back to the point you came on to make, which is you say common infections rage through our hospitals. Why?
That's right, because doctors and nurses forget to clean their hands in between patients. They overlook other protocols, the word that Tom Frieden keeps using. They overlook them. And also the surfaces in the hospital are heavily contaminated. For example, studies show that when cleaners clean a hospital room, when one patient is discharged before the next patient is put in there, they overlook half the surfaces, 50%, so that the germs are left behind lingering to infect the next patient. In fact, what room you're put in is the single biggest factor determining who gets a hospital infection.
Oh, my goodness. So the other thing that we heard, of course, is that it's not just cleaning up afterwards. It's also cleaning up the caregiver afterwards and taking off the covers that they wear.
Removing this containment suit is so meticulous and so dangerous. A nurse in Spain is now clinging to life. It is believed that as she was removing her suit, she inadvertently brushed her cheek with her gloved hand and contaminated herself. And even in the CDC call this afternoon, one of the slides presented to all the doctors and hospitals and nurse administrators said having the protective gear isn't enough to keep you safe. And that's my worry, that we're not keeping our doctors and nurses safe.
One point you make is that maybe respirators are needed for people who are treating these Ebola patients. Why?
That's right, because especially when you're going through certain procedures like putting a breathing tube down or dialysis, there's a lot of aerosol. That means that the patient is sneezing, coughing, emitting droplets of the virus that can land on your face, enter your eye, enter your mouth, somehow contaminate you, and those plastic face shields, according to many of the doctors, are not enough.
Not enough. We have a long way to go. Betsy McCaughey, great job. Thanks for coming on. It's a story we've wanted to tell, and we appreciate your doing it.
Sorry we have to tell it.
Yes, good points.